And welcome back. A Republican meeting of the minds taking place in Utah this weekend at Mitt Romney's annual summit with GOP leaders and donors. It comes as a war of words erupts between Romney and Donald Trump, even as everybody calls for party unity. So how do they make it all work together? Well, here's a gentleman with a few tips. Dino Scaros is the executive editor for the National Herald and author of the book Grumpy Old Party, 20 Tips on How the Republicans Can Shed Their Anger, Reclaim Their Respectability, and Win Back the White House. It's a long title for a relatively, kind of short read here, fun read, nonetheless. So what I'll do is go over some of your tips, Dino, and then we'll get to a general question for you. Okay, so I picked a few out of each section, starting with section 1, the foundation section, which says tip number 3 is what I went with. Credibility trumps quality. So what does this mean?
Quantity.
Exactly, says quantity. I need reading glasses and pretending not to. We go back. Credibility trumps quantity. So what does this mean, and does Donald Trump pass the muster?
Well, this means I started writing this book right after the 2012 election. So I looked back to what I thought the Republicans did ineffectively. And rather than criticize President Obama on substantive points, they were what I consider nitpicking, looking at the slightest, pettiest detail. And that was my criticism. There was plenty to criticize a sitting president about without trying to criticize every little thing. Donald Trump, to this point, does not necessarily pass muster on it, but there are many things that kind of make Donald Trump the exception to the rule on so many issues. Part of it is who his likely general election opponent is going to be.
And what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that there are so many negatives about Hillary Clinton, and there are so many positives to Donald Trump that a lot of the things that Trump may be doing wrong, that I point out in the book.
Well, I'm going to move on. I wish
Sure.
I have it in my mind. There's a recent Fox News poll, if I can call it, that shows in terms of negative opinion of the candidates. I think Mr. Trump is a little bit ahead of Secretary Clinton, but I don't have that in front of me right now, so I'm going to move on, okay?
Sure,
I think that's what it said. Producers can tell me in my ear in a moment. So let's go to part 2 of your book, Basic Do's and Don'ts. Tip number 7, don't Latinify the message artificially. What does that mean, and does Donald Trump embody this tip?
Donald Trump does this very well because Donald Trump does not pander to Latinos. One of the interesting things about this whole thing with the Mexican judge, everybody focuses on Donald Trump being a racist, where Donald Trump called out one individual and said it has to do not only with his heritage, but also the organizations to which he belongs. The real racists, as I see it, are all those who every day say, well, Donald Trump is going to lose the Latino vote because he's so strong against illegal aliens, as to imply that Latino Americans are against law, they are for lawlessness, and they will be okay with lawbreakers as long as they share a common heritage. That's the racist statement. That's what the panderers do, and Donald Trump does not do that, which is why he passes that point with flying colors.
I will move on to part 3 of your book called Reclaiming, and tip number 12, Reclaiming Race Relations, kind of, I think, related. You tell me, though, what does it mean, and how does Trump measure up in this department?
Well, the Republicans were the party that was for the abolition of slavery. The Republicans had Frederick Douglass, a Republican who also ran for president, and the Republicans really need to reclaim race relations in the sense that it shouldn't be what used to be the Southern strategy of let's go after the white vote. The Republicans should be an inclusive party. There are so many who say that a great deal of voters who are African American, who are really anything, benefit more from the Republicans, and they need to do that more effectively.
I'm 30 seconds. So if Donald Trump is the new brand of Republican, who could stand to learn more from your 20 tips? Is it Trump or the GOP establishment?
No, the GOP establishment, big time, and I really hope they get this book.
Oh, there you go. That was a nice, you gave me 10 seconds. I got room to spare. Dino Scaros, Grumpy Old Party, 20 tips on how the Republican can shed their anger, reclaim their respectability, and win back the White House. See, I had time to replug your book. Dino, thank you very much.